Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. This segment's being brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals publish to inform their consumers, to grow their practices, and to leave a legacy. We're doing a series of spotlights on remarkable experts and practitioners and professionals across the country and in your town. And we're doing a special series right now on elder law. So, joining me on this segment is Rebecca Auld. She's an attorney with Auld Brothers Law Group based out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Rebecca, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Rebecca, I know elder law is such a wide spectrum. So, can you tell us a little bit about your specialties and the types of clients that you serve?
I get a lot of clients that ask me, "Do you do elder law?" But it's kind of a loaded question for me because there's so many avenues and things that you're talking about. So when one talks about elder law, they're talking about estate planning. Do you have the right things and tools in place? And are you getting the right answers to be able to implement whatever you need to do for your loved one or yourself? And then you get nebby as Pittsburghese, and you want to know a lot of information about people. So when you talk about elder law, it's not, if you're an attorney, if you're not asking your clients a lot of information, you're doing a disservice to them because everyone has different situations and needs, and you really need to know what they are, including, do you have family members that are able to assist you? Do you have the funds to be able to sustain, being in skilled nursing? And in my area where right now, it's about $10,000 a month just for room and boarding and basic care. So it doesn't include medical. It doesn't include those extra things, physical therapy that one would need. And you need to know that. And in terms of elder law, then you're moving into a state administration. Does your elderly loved one or do you may not have the funds to be able to do a private pay individual? And then are you applying for Medicaid? Do you need to apply for Medicare? Do you know what those things are, and the benefits and things that you're able to give? Because all of those things come into play with what you need to do. And a lot of people don't know when you apply for these various things, Medicaid, veterans benefits, you get a one-time stick and then you have to wait usually for a year. So it's very crucial. And a lot of the times, one of the biggest questions I get is, I want to protect my assets. Will they take my home? I've heard that they're going to do this. Is that the case? And so there's a lot of and you hear from your friends and family of what has happened to them, and it puts a lot of people in fear. Am I doing the right thing? Am I preparing myself? And you need to also include loved ones to make sure that you answer these questions so you know what they are, and what's going on. So it's a big loaded question for me. It's really getting a lot of information and knowing, okay, what are the avenues and quarters are we going to talk about, and finding out, because there's a lot of things that they may not think to tell me. Hey, this is important to me, or this is my other concern, and what those are. And people can be embarrassed, they're a little bit, but they have to be, fully open, just like a doctor, and say, this is what I have going on. These are my concerns. What options do I have or do I not have?
Aging is such a sensitive subject. So, do you find that a lot of families are less than prepared for this part of their life cycle? What are the kind of calls that you get? Are people in emergency situations? What are
Yeah.
some of the most common things that you find?
I have a situation right now where their mother had passed away, and she was the last of the parents to pass. And in this area of law, it's usually the final spouse to pass away that is the buildup, a lot of the times. And for this woman, her son lived with her, and he resided there. He moved back home to be able to help her, but unfortunately, she was not able to pay for her care. So she had to apply for Medicaid, and she had lived a long time. And we have a lot of longevity nowadays with people living longer. And so she has a significant money that would need to be paid back, to compensate, any assets that would have, because that's what happens in Pennsylvania. They give you a benefit. They don't want to kick out a loved one. They don't want to kick out a spouse, even if the spouse is still living at the residence. But for this individual, he came to me and said, I live at this home. I've lived here with my mother for a very long time. this is the issue that we're having. These are the documents that I've been getting from Pennsylvania. I don't know what to do now. I want to make sure I do the right thing because I have no idea what these documents are asking. I have no idea if they're asking me to pay for my loved one's debt. What do we have going on? But the majority of questions are, how do I shelter my wealth? Are you able to do that? Are you able to avoid inheritance tax, which not a lot of states have, but ours unfortunately does? And then the biggest issue usually is for children, adult children in their 50s, 60s, and say, hey, my mom can't live on her own anymore. What do I do? I have no idea what to do. She's going to fight me on it. He's going to fight me on it. I have concerns. I don't know where to go. So it's a lot of general questions about the basics of I don't know where to go now. There are different things, different dynamics. What do I do? Where do I head? What should I be thinking about? Getting information for me to be able to do that. So it's a big thing. Beginning and end, life and death. There's just so much to answer those questions. But those are probably the biggest three, the ones that I get on a weekly basis.
I really wanted to bring more awareness to this topic because I just find that there's not a lot of talk about it, and almost people try to avoid the subject almost. But like I've heard terms such as like guardianship and power of attorney. Tell us a little bit about the importance of those things, because I hear that like the power of attorney is like one of the most important things that you have to set up.
They are. And I think when people come and tell me, they say, okay, I know, and then mainly they're thinking about their passing, and they say, I just need a simple will. And I want to say to them, and I sometimes do you think you have a simple life? Do you think your life for your whole life is simple? Then no, your will is probably not going to be simple. And it's simple from when you're young. You're not married, you don't have a house, you don't have kids, just very basic. But what I tell people is the most important document that I can provide to you is your power of attorneys. Your durable financial power of attorney, and this goes for every state, across the country, and then your healthcare power attorney and living will. And people don't think about that. And I try to give them a thought of everybody in their lifetime will need some type of help unless they have a tragic accident and they just pass all of a sudden. But even just I don't want to go do this today. I'm in Florida, so I need somebody to do my tax returns. And in the United States and states, you can't sign a deed for your spouse. You can't sign your tax returns for your spouse. So there's some simple things, but usually what people are thinking of, I can't do this now, so I need somebody to do it. So we'll start with financial power of attorneys, and most of the time people think of, I just need to pay for bills. I need somebody to do that, but it covers a lot more things than one were to think of. It's not just paying bills. It's calling doctor's office and questioning bills. It's calling your insurance companies questioning bills. It's being able to assign, get someone into a nursing home because you would have to file and sign as the client on behalf of your loved one and enter them to do that, because if that person doesn't have the mental capacity to do that, they need someone to do that. And if you don't have that paperwork, you can't even do it as a spouse. HIPAA is such a huge thing. I think a lot of people have the understanding of, well, I'm the spouse, I just am able to do this. No, you're not. And a lot of places are flexible and will communicate with people. But what if you get that stickler and says, no, this isn't it? And that's the law. They're not able to give information unless you put in their documents, hey, I allow, Bruce Beamer to be able to get these documents, and he's my son or he's my friend. You have to do those things. And in Pennsylvania, at least, you're able to change things like beneficiaries on a life insurance policy. And in Pennsylvania, our documents are very long to say that, and it's required that you have a duty to this individual. You're not to commingle your funds. You're not to use their things as your own, like their car. Your duty is to this specific person financially to reach their goals and to protect their assets and to do what they need to do for this individual. So let's just say a spouse has passed away and they haven't listed their children, and it was just a mistake. Now in Pennsylvania, that's a big bad thing, because if you die without a beneficiary on your life insurance policy, that's inherited for tax purposes at 4.5% of that asset, which is huge. And oftentimes, that's a big place to be able to give inheritance, to be able to pay things. And you would do that. So you would be able to make that change for them and list, all of the siblings and all of the grandchildren if that child of yours has passed. So you have a lot of things, create trust, buy real estate, get a mortgage, all of these things that you would need to do financially, transfer car title, that is necessary. And I've had those things. So that's a big thing. And people just think, well, I don't want to give someone that power to do that. What if they do this? And I've had to have talks with people. If you have those concerns, one, you don't have to tell them where it is. You may not even want them to know until you feel it's ready that they need to know. Someone needs to know where those documents are, but you don't need to do that, and you can change it. But if you're having true concerns that someone's going to take advantage of you, one, it might not be the right individual, and two, it's just kind of explaining that kind of need. Moving over to the healthcare power of attorney and living will. Again, what if I had an awful reaction to my second COVID shot, and I couldn't even roll over to my nightstand and get some medicine. And so what if something like that happened and I needed my husband or one of my parents to call the doctor and say, listen, this is what's going on with Becky. We need you to help. What do you want us to do or not do? Well, I would need somebody to be able to do that. So I have healthcare power of attorneys and all this stuff for my husband to be able to do that. And then I have backups for that case. And when people think about healthcare power of attorneys, they're thinking about those instances. I'm passing away, or I need assistance for a big problem. And the two things that we ask clients are this two situations, and it's going to be the only two. If you have a disease that you do not have any reasonable likelihood of you surviving, what do you want to have happening? And then the converse is, a disease like cancer, terminal cancer, or if you have a major injury, like a massive car accident, that there is no reasonable likelihood of you surviving, what do you want to have happen? Who do you want to assist you in making that decision? And most of the time, I don't think I've had a case where that's not been the fact, that people don't want those life-sustaining measures for their family or just for themselves. For them, it's a very personal, indication of what they want. It's the most important thing, because these are the last directives that you have for your lifetime, possibly, to be able to carry that out. But again, it could be something simple as well. Hey, can you call the doctor? I need my prescriptions changed, or I have to have some questions about these things. So it's not a end of life, document. It has a lot of things just for the logistics of life, to be able to assist with that. So I think there's a lot of ideas that that's what it's for. And people do not like to talk about their longevity. They do not want to address it. And they do not want to address things with their own family. Usually spouses will obviously have each other as their primary agent, but it's always the backup agents. And I like to be very paranoid, like a lawyer. Belt, suspender, duct tape. You have your backups. Who's your first backup? Who's your second? Do you want a third? And I always say the last one needs to be of a younger generation of you, because maybe this is the only one you're going to do with me. It usually isn't. But if this is going to be the last one, do you have a last generation, a next generation to be able to help you? So this is a document that you don't need to change again. And then the fear could be, you don't have the capacity to change it, to make those decisions. And I always tell people, please do not make decisions based on your family that you think somebody is going to be offended if they're not picked, because that's the worst thing you could do for yourself. You need to think of wearing a hat. Who can wear that hat to make those medical decisions? And then who has the capacity and wherewithal to be able to do the financial ones? And my example every time is, and if they see this, they're probably going to get a phone call. I use the example of my mom is a retired nurse. She absolutely can be my backup or primary agent for my healthcare power of attorney and living will, because one, she's got the armor to be able to do that. She knows to ask the right questions. and to kind of address all those issues that are very emotional. Conversely, my dad is a retired attorney. He could do the financial. He has the wherewithal to do that and a lot of tools in his toolbox to be able to do all those types of things. But they couldn't be each other probably very well. They couldn't. So you need to ask yourself those questions without the fear of offending someone, because it's only going to lead to problems. So if you are the ostrich about things and don't really think about your personal needs, not the other people, this is your direct needs, then you may be creating a big problem, for yourself. And you don't want that to happen. That's the purpose of these documents.
Great insights, Rebecca. You're a wealth of knowledge. What inspired you to specialize in elder law? How did you get started?
And elder law isn't my only specialty. After law school, I clerked for a judge for 2 years, and he unfortunately just passed. And I learned a lot from people about how to be and how to deal with people. And I truly like to help people. I want them to get the best benefit. I track these families, for generations, and then help their kids and grandkids to meet their goals and to do things that are best for them. After I clerked for a judge, I was a assistant district attorney in Allegheny County for about 7 years. But my father's practice was always estate planning, estate administration, and real estate. He didn't delve into the criminal law. He doesn't want to do that. And it's always something I wanted to do, and to be able to help people in a very big way, to be able to do that. So I enjoy it. It's certainly something that I like to do, to be able to help people. I'm much more of an educator than anything else.
You're very passionate about it, and your knowledge and experience really show. Rebecca, for folks listening now that are in the Pittsburgh area and perhaps could use your help with their elder law or any problems, how do they find you and connect with you and learn more?
Our website isn't finished. There's a lot of dynamic to it. It's going to have a lot of information to tell you just what I've told you and things, and to be able to have resources to look up. So that's going to be coming, but that is going to be, again, my firm is Auld Brothers Law Group. I am in the Gibsonia area. So for the northern part of Allegheny County, I also do help Butler County where I reside. But our internet page is going to be www.auldbrothers.com. And then our telephone here is 412-487-8668. And then I also can be reached via email, which is my first initial R, my last name, Auld, AULD, at auldbrotherslaw.com. And I take a lot of questions from people every time, and answer even people that I don't have clients, because I want to put them in the right direction. So I'll talk to people 15, 20 minutes to answer their question, even if they don't become clients, because I want people to be put in the right direction. And I certainly tell people, I don't do this. You need to go see this person, and recommend them if I can.
This has been terrific, absolutely fascinating insights, and I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing with my audience today, Rebecca. I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Rebecca Auld, attorney with Auld Brothers Law. And this segment's been brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals publish to inform their consumers, to grow their practices, and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for joining me.